cable, they show those 1930s and 40s and 50 horror movies that you sit there and you go, like, after you got done with it, but why did I watch it?
But why? Yeah, there's one on YouTube that's specifically jumping into my head as we're having this conversation, and it is called, I believe it's just called The Letter H, meaning heroin. So if people go to YouTube and they type in Paul Cram H, or I think it's Paul Cram like heroin short or something like that, I am literally like in my skivvies through this whole movie, and the storyline doesn't really make a lot of sense, and then there's this really, really bad makeout scene with me and another actress, and it's so cringeworthy. It's one of those things where I'm sure if I ever, quote unquote make it, that people will watch it and they'll be like, what the heck is this? Because the story doesn't really even make sense. Like, it's kind of an odd experimental, I don't know, it's strange. It's very strange. And it doesn't help, it just doesn't help that there's kind of, the whole making out, and we weren't naked, there's no nudity or anything like that, but there's a fair amount of skin, and it just makes me cringe.
Yeah. I don't know, but I hate to say it, there was a lot of those movies made in the 90s and 80s, but mainly in the 90s, early 2000s, that it was like,
yeah.
I had another actor, which I'm not going to mention his name, but I told you before we went on the air, and he told me he was in one movie that, he regrets when he looks back at it. He sat there and, it was supposed to be about like vampires and stuff like that. And he said about, the Hammer films and stuff like that. They have a little bit of sensual, to it, but nothing.
Totally. Yeah.
But nothing major. He said this one he got on the set, and it was more like a porno flick than
oh
Bela
God.
Lugosi type of movie, And it was
I shouldn't laugh.
And he said
that would be horrific if you're on a project and you're riding that line between where it's like, what is this going to be like, and then it turns into, it's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, how do you put the brakes on with some of that?
No, and he said it was so badly written too. That's what I like about some of those. When you go watch some of these old movies, you look at them, right, and the actors, they pulled them off the street and had them read the script for 10 minutes, and then they put them behind the camera, and the guy goes, "We're being attacked by monsters." I mean, I just, like, you could tell they were so stiff, and they're like, every word they're saying is like they're reading it, as they're saying it. And, those are the type of ones that actually they should be classified, instead of a sci-fi or horror, should be, a comedy.
They should be. And they have a special place. Like, I mean, a lot of my friends and I...
you mean if you're drunk?
We do enjoy, a campy sort of... Especially, it's almost wonderful, too, if the film itself doesn't know that it's funny. Where there's a certain level. I think there was a fair amount of movies in the 80s and the 90s where, well, even some in the 70s too, some of the horror films where they don't kind of wink and nod at you. They are taking themselves so seriously, and it's just like what you're saying, where the delivery is so unnatural.
Yeah. Stiff.
It's fun to laugh at and fun to watch.
Oh yeah. Hey, another thing I noticed, I had a movie director on, maybe 2 months ago. The camera equipment. I used to be in the photography business. I used to manage a couple camera stores. I did professional photography at one point in my life, among other things. I've done a lot of different things. But
nice.
But the cameras now, like some of these cameras they use are like little, like Panasonic, basically a camera you go out and buy for $1,500, and it does,
right, yeah.
It does the video, studio quality, And, you know, he's saying that they get like 4 or 5 of those to make the movie. And you know, he said...
Well, and it's economical in many ways, but you're getting... The interesting thing about that is, you know, shooting with those sort of the DSLR type things is you're getting... It looks really good. Because you've got some depth of field happening and stuff like that, too. It's interesting. It's really interesting that how far that's come. Yeah. It's fascinating. Did you ever see? This is kind of going back to your question about, like, you know, if I had worked on any projects where anything strange had happened. Did you ever see those movies, The Crow, like that series?
Oh yeah. I really got into that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that I think I heard that they are doing another one of those. And that would make me slightly nervous, just because I know that those are notorious for what you're saying, you know, for having... Oh, what's the term for it? For being cursed, I guess, or something like that?
Oh, paranormal events happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make me, as an actor, I'd be a little bit, I don't know.
Well, see, if you, Paul, if you believe in the paranormal, right, and then you start making a movie about the paranormal, and you start doing things like Ouija boards, or, you know, casting spells, or voodoo, or, you know, doing certain things, you know, like, you know, killing people and their spirits come back. You know, I'm just wondering sometimes, you know, like if the cast or the movie can be all of a sudden plagued with problems because, you know, a lot of people say, hey, there's no such thing as a paranormal. There's no such thing as ghost. There's no such thing as Bigfoot, you know, unless you actually seen one. And if you have, then you know there's something out there. So I think sometimes some of these movies, when they, you know, bring on something really dark and make a movie, you know, dark, I'm just wondering if any of the actors afterwards or anything on the set or anything just starts, you know, going wrong, you know, because you're playing with fire.
I agree. That's interesting that you say that, because I wholeheartedly agree, especially with the... Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have anything insightful to add to that, but I definitely agree as far as, you're telling a story and you're quote unquote faking it. But what if you're doing, like you said, what if you're dabbling into something where it's like, you may be thinking that it's fake, but that doesn't necessarily make it fake, if that makes sense.
Well, remember the movie Bloody Mary? You go up in front of the window and you a mirror, and you go Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and all of a sudden, you know, this thing comes out and starts slashing and killing you. I mean, you know, I just think sometimes with, you know, like some of the movies, I think they sometimes go a little too far. I mean, I don't know. See, I'm not into this, you know, like the new, the stuff they can do now digitally, which they couldn't do 10 years ago. I mean, with all the blood and, you know, the body parts, you know, flying every which way. It's so realistic. And it just, I don't know. I think you're just asking for, you know, problems. Not maybe paranormal, but I think it's really screwing up a lot of people who watch those type of movies. Right.
No, I agree. Although I have to say, like, even what you just mentioned scares me personally way more than, I don't know. Something about the I don't know. I remember seeing when I was growing up, and I never did it because it just scared me too much. But, you know, friends of mine and stuff, it would be like the big scary game to do at like a sleepover or something like that, where it's like, okay, somebody's going to go in the bathroom and they're going to turn the light off and they're going to do what you just said. They'll look in the mirror and they'll say Bloody Mary 3 times, and, you know, we'll see what happens. Everybody out here will wait.
No, maybe nothing will happen. Maybe nothing will happen when they go to the bathroom, right, and go Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, right? But as soon as they leave their house to go to work, you know, they're stepping, you know, off the curb, and a Mack truck goes by and slams into them.
Something, right? Right. No, and I always just had it in the back of my head where I was like, no, I always have believed that. I'm like, no. There's more than meets the eye. And I think that's part of why I was like, no, I'm not gonna go into the peer pressure wasn't enough to be. I was like, no, I don't care if you guys laugh that I'm a chicken, because I'm just like, no, I actually do. And I didn't say it at the time, but I mean, it's what I was thinking. Is it's like, no, I actually do believe underneath that there's something going on. There is something to some of this. So why would I want to bring that on myself?
Well, I'm the same, because I mean, sometimes when you're making a movie, your script and stuff, I'm the same. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying you might. Have you ever had any bad luck after you did a movie or a scene or anything like that where something bad happened?
I haven't. And it's interesting. A lot of the parts that I play and am cast as, like even the film, I did a ghost movie called 13 Hours in a Warehouse. And I was playing one of the bad guys, but even within playing the bad guy, like I was one of the goodish bad guys, if that makes sense, where I was like the bad guy who kind of wanted to help people out a little bit. So the ghosts, yes, they did end up killing me, but they maybe could have excused me a little bit. I don't know. I'm always cast as the guy, and I appreciate it. I'm cast usually as the guy where if I am the bad guy, it's a situational thing where I'm finding myself in that spot, not so much because I'm evil at my core. It's more that I'm the good guy who's finding himself in a bad situation. So I haven't really I haven't really acted in something where it's like I am just pure evil, and I haven't really had anything afterwards that bad has happened to me or anything like that either.
Well, you have lucked out.
I think so too. Like I said, I think I'm very blessed in many ways with some of the stuff. Yeah, but I also think I think I also have a very healthy, like I had said, I think I have a very healthy distrust is the wrong word. I think I have a healthy respect for the paranormal, for the things that I cannot explain. I'm not going to, there's so many movies too where, the kids are going to grab the Ouija board, and it's like, in my head, I'm like, no. You don't play with the Ouija board in the abandoned cabin at night. That's going to get you all kinds of crazy wrong.
Well, I've mentioned this probably 4 or 5 times in the last 6 months. The one business I managed, Paul, in Tacoma, was in a building that was built around the 1870s, late 1870s. And it was originally a hotel, and in the basement there was a bar. But the hotel up above originally was a brothel. Now, this is down by the waterfront.
Really?
Waterfront in Tacoma.
Okay.
And I was a general manager there for like 16, 17 years. And I could never figure out why the owner would not go downstairs, because the building was huge downstairs, because we had a couple other stores. So all our inventory was, downstairs in the warehouse. He would not go down in the basement, unless somebody went with him. Now, we had a huge safe downstairs where we put antique, cameras and stuff like that. But he would never go down there by himself. I had all these employees through all the years come and go because, they're salesmen. You have them for 6 months, they quit, move on, type of thing. But I had like a Navy SEAL that worked for me. And one day he came up and he said, "Hey, Gary, this place is haunted." And I looked at him and going, "Okay, I think maybe you're shell shocked or something, I didn't say it to him, but I figured, hey, this guy's got a little slight problem. And then, he's come up a couple other times over a couple week period. And then finally he quit. He said, "I'm not going down that basement anymore. Either you fire me or I'll quit." So he quit. And then, I had like some ex-Rangers. I have had, all these people came in because it's next to the military bases. Okay. So I had a lot of, I had a chief bosun mate that served in the submarine corps for many, many years.
Really?
Same thing. He'd come up and he told me, there's ghosts downstairs, that he saw things move in front of him. He managed to last for a couple of years, but I never had any of those problems when I went down there. And then I remember towards the end, before I decided I can't work here anymore, none of my employees would go down